It's Australia Day 2022. Welcome to Canberra for the National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony. I'm Dan Borscher and I'm joined today by our expert commentators, Georgina Whelan, Commissioner of the ACT Special Emergency Services, and my ABC colleague, Adrienne Francis.
The ADF, our emergency services first responders and our volunteers have been closely involved in the pandemic again this year, and we want to express our gratitude for their incredible efforts.
Today we welcome 19 new members to our great Australian family, and for the first time at this event we raise the Centenary Flag, created to commemorate 100 years of Australia's national flag.
Earlier this morning, elders representing the traditional custodians of this land met with the Prime Minister and the Governor-General for a very special and sacred personal smoking ceremony to ward off evil. Last night and today, residents have been invited to reflect upon that ancient history and story of this land that we call Canberra. Dancers as well as musicians have been performing to the theme of caring and taking care of the campfire, creating a space where we can have important conversations about how we care and nurture each other.
It's part of the reconciliation process, focusing on our history and our truth, a new event for 2022, curated and programmed by Wesley Enoch.
In a moment, all the prestige and precision of Australia's Federation Guard will be on display, accompanied by the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
So, let's get the National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony underway.
Opening honours for this year's ceremony goes to the band of the Royal Military College Duntroon, and behind the band is the Federation Guard, both looking equally as magnificent. I'm sure you'll agree, Commissioner.
Absolutely, Adrienne. I always enjoy watching both the Guard and the RMC band. Today, the band is under musical direction of Officer Commanding Major Matthew O'Keefe, and Drum Major is Warrant Officer Class 1 Mick Lee. Both were appointed to their respective positions with the band just 9 days ago on the 17th of January.
And we've been blessed with beautiful, cool, cloudy weather this morning, light winds and still, the aroma of the smoked bush leaves just wafting across the side. And this location on the foreshore of Lake Burley Griffin really is the centrepiece of citizenship ceremonies held on Australia Day, and the site has recently been enhanced with the installation of 6 brand new flagpoles. Don't they look impressive?
They do indeed, and of course the band is looking absolutely spectacular as it leads the way for the Australian Federation Guard. Now, today on parade, we are going to see 100 Guard members from Australia's Federation Guard. And as you can see, they're proudly entering and marching across Ron Terrace. And they are joined by 30 members of the RMC band.
They're looking so proud, aren't they, under the command of Major Chris Pittman, who's only been in the role for all of 16 days. How much of a challenge would that be for Major Pittman?
Well, I'm sure he is very accomplished, but of course this is the time for the Defence Force posting cycle. They move in over Christmas and the New Year, but certainly being appointed as the Officer Commanding of the Guard, he is well equipped to lead these young personnel today.
The Guard was established in 2000 to support celebrations for the Olympic Games and 2001 Centenary of Federation events. The AFG, Australia's Federation Guard, is made up of 166 ADF personnel, 55 Navy, 56 Army and 55 Air Force, and it's the only full-time ceremonial unit in the ADF.
Yes, it is, and we are very proud of the Guard. The posting duration for its members is around 2 to 3 years, and the most common selection process is through volunteering and expression of interest. So second in command of the Federation Guard is Warrant Officer Class 2 Bruce Pearson. He says that his highlight at the AFG was being in the flag party for Anzac Day at the National War Memorial Service, because it was a beautiful time to reflect on his service as well as those who have served before him. Bruce's daughter has recently joined the army, so the tradition of military service runs very strong in that family indeed, Adrienne.
He must be a very proud dad indeed, Georgina, to see his daughter follow in his footsteps. And we still have so much to look forward to this morning. Soon our Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison, will arrive, along with His Excellency, the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, General the Honourable David Hurley.
Australia Day is a day for all Australians to come together to reflect, respect and celebrate who we are as a people and who we are as a nation. It's an opportunity to think about what it means to be an Australian. It's a day to reflect on our history, from time immemorial to the times that we live through right now. To acknowledge the first peoples of this land, their culture, the languages, most importantly, their survival. And to welcome our newest Australians who will become citizens today. It's a day to respect and to embrace each other, whether Australian by birth or by choice, a unity that underpins our strength as our nation. It's a day to celebrate our nation, and it's also a chance for us to think about how we look towards the future as well. Here at the national celebrations today for the flag raising and citizenship ceremony, we're going to be celebrating as well achievements, most of all of our people, because we're all a part of the Australian story. Soon the Prime Minister and the Governor-General will be joining us. It's now my great pleasure to welcome the Chair of the National Australia Day Council, Miss Danielle Roach OAM, who will greet the Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison and Mrs Morrison.
And we're seeing the arrival now of the Prime Minister's car.
Yes, we have some nervous members on parade waiting for the arrival.
Please stand if you're able for the arrival of the Prime Minister and Mrs Morrison. The Prime Minister will now be received with a general salute.
Australia's Federation Guard, general salute! Present! Arms! Guard! Shoulder! Arms!
Please welcome the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Scott Morrison. Please remain standing for the arrival of Their Excellencies the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, General the Honourable David Hurley and Mrs Hurley.
And now the Governor-General is about to arrive. This is his third time attending the National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony as the Queen's representative.
The Governor-General will now be received with the Vice-Regal salute.
Guard! Royal salute! Guard! Royal salute! Present! Arms! Guard! Shoulder! Arms!
Good morning, Your Excellency. Major Chris Pittman, Officer Commanding Australia's Federation Guard. I'd like to invite you to inspect
Federation Guard! Order! Up!
I'd like to invite you to inspect the parade.
Please be seated as the Guard Commander Major Chris Pittman invites the Governor-General to inspect Australia's Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Major Chris Pittman will now escort the Governor-General to inspect the Guard. Georgina, what does it actually mean for the Governor-General to inspect the Guard?
The inspecting of the Guard is an honour bestowed upon any reviewing officer for any parade, whether it be the Governor-General, the Prime Minister or a visiting head of state, for example. Once the reviewing officer receives a general or national or royal salute in the form of the presenting arms, which we've just seen, he then is shown by the reviewing officer the Guard, and that's to mean no harm. As an act of goodwill, the Guard Commander invites the reviewing officer to then inspect the Guard. During military inspections of the Guard, it is conducted to ensure the Guard uniforms and equipment are in correct order.
And the Guard have represented Australia in various roles, both at home and overseas, including ceremonies in Gallipoli in Turkey. The Royal Australian Navy contingent of the Guard always appears on the left-hand side of a parade, with the Army in the centre and the Air Force on the right. Having been in the military for 32 years and worked with the Governor-General, Commissioner, what do you think the members of the Guard might be feeling now?
Well, they'll be feeling very proud indeed, particularly for those in their first year with the Federation Guard. They'll also be feeling a little bit relieved that things are going well so far, and a couple of them will be hoping that the GG might stop and have a quick chat to them.
And what sort of conversations occurred during those encounters?
He'll often ask them where they're from, he'll comment on their turnout, he'll look at their decorations and awards and reflect sometimes on the deployments that they may have had.
Now Major Chris Pittman will hand over to Major Matthew O'Keefe to inspect the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Major Matthew O'Keefe is the officer commanding and the music director for the RMC band, and it's not his first time being in this particular ensemble. It's where he started his career as a musician in the band 18 years ago, and where he served as second in command between 2015 and 2016.
That's right, Georgia. Major O'Keefe says it's a great honour and a privilege to command the band of the Royal Military College, the flagship ensemble of the Australian Army Band, and to work with such dedicated and professional soldiers and musicians.
They are fabulous musicians, and one of Major O'Keefe's career highlights was performing alongside military bands from around the world as part of the 2011 Basel Tattoo in Switzerland, and an attachment to the Malaysian Army School of Music as an instructor and advisor to the development of the musical training program over there.
Please stand if you're able as the Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College Dun Troon are formally farewelled by the Governor-General.
Guard, shoulder, arms. Australia's Federation Guard, Royal Salute. Present, arms. Guard, shoulder, arms. Australia's Federation Guard will form column of route. 8, 10. Guard by the left, band by the centre. Wave!
Once again, the Federation Guard and the RMC Band have done a remarkable job. A great start to the morning. They should be very proud of themselves indeed.
And the RMC Band will play themselves out with a traditional ballad, The Wild Colonial Boy. The Federation Guard and the RMC Band will be back later for the raising of the Centenary Flag. Currently, the RMC Band has members from across Australia. The age of the band members ranges from 23 to 50.
Yes, that we have a variety of ages and backgrounds for our band members. The RMC Band's drum major, Warrant Officer Lee, has served for over 3 decades in the ADF since he enlisted in 1989. He has held numerous positions, including Band Sergeant Major of Army Bands Brisbane and Army Band Darwin.
I imagine it takes enormous skill to march and carry an instrument and perform with the instrument. Georgina.
Yes, it does. There are endless hours of rehearsals for our band members, all very accomplished musicians. And so combining military skill with their musicianship is something that takes many hours of dedication, and as we can see today, doing a fabulous job.
And we saw a bit of a ceremonial sword glinting in the sunlight this morning too, didn't we, Commissioner?
Yes, we did. So the sword is carried by the parade commander, and the sword is a very special ceremonial sword that is designed and made in India for our ceremonial occasions here in Australia.
The drill itself, does it have an importance well beyond a ceremony like this?
Absolutely. Drill is all about instilling discipline, confidence, teamwork and precision across all ADF members. Commanders rely on the members of the ADF to respond to orders, and drill really brings all that together.
As you take your seats, we thank Australia's Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College Dun Troon. We now come to a very special part of the Citizenship and Flag raising ceremony, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Ngunnawal Elder Untitled Sheridan of the people of the Ngunnawal Nation to welcome us to her country.
Thank you, Dan. Yuma, hello, and it's a pleasure to be here to welcome this morning our new Australians to the land of the Ngunnawal people. I'd like to acknowledge their Excellencies, the Honourable Governor-General, Mr David Earley, Mrs Linda Earley, the Honourable Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Mrs Jenny Morrison and their families. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the Honourable Anthony Albanese, Leader of the Opposition, distinguished guest and soon-to-be new Australians. To me, a welcome to country is a traditional Aboriginal blessing, symbolising the traditional owners of the land giving consent to an event to take place on land, and it also shows respect for the first peoples of the land you are meeting on. I stand in this place where once my ancestors before me raised their families and told stories of many years ago. I am a proud Ngunnawal woman as I walk into the future carrying my ancestors in spirit with me, teaching the next generations about the oldest culture in the world, the Aboriginal culture. You have gone through the smoking this morning, which is a spiritual ceremony, to cleanse and protect your spirit. These leaves have been smoked, and I will present each of our new citizens this morning to a leaf to protect their spirit while they are on our lands, but it also shows that you are welcome on the land of the Ngunnawal people. We are a country made up of many cultures and peoples from all over the world, and those who call this country home. I am a proud Aboriginal Ngunnawal woman, but I'm also a proud Australian. We need to work together to sort out our differences for our next generations of Australians that are heading us, because I have grannies and I've also got great-grandchildren, so we need to work out our differences. I don't want this to continue to go on for my grannies or our next generations. I would like to pay my respects to my elders past, present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here and across our country. I'd also like to acknowledge our non-Indigenous people around Australia. In keeping the general spirit of friendship and reconciliation, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here today on behalf of the traditional owners of the land, the Ngunnawal people. And on behalf of my family and the other Ngunnawal families, welcome, welcome to all our new Australians, and welcome to everybody. And have a great Australian Day, but also I salute my people and have a great survival day. Thank you all so much. And one more thing, and I know the Prime Minister will probably be happy with this. If you haven't had the COVID jab, you go and have the COVID jab. Encourage your family, community, that they're doing it for themselves, they're doing it for their families, and they're doing it for the communities, because COVID's here to stay. We need to live with it. So please go and have that jab if you haven't had it. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Auntie Violet, for that warm welcome to your country, and also there for the extra health advice at the end. I think it was welcomed by most, much appreciated. I'd now like to invite to the stage the Chair of the National Australia Day Council, Olympian and recipient of the Medal of the Order of Australia, Miss Danielle Roach.
Your Excellencies, Governor-General and Mrs Hurley, the Honourable Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Mrs Jenny Morrison, the Honourable Ben Morton, Minister for State and Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister and Cabinet. The Honourable Anthony Albanese, Leader of the Opposition. His Excellency Ali M. Krishan, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps. Members of the Diplomatic Corps. Heads of our Defence Forces. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the people of the Ngunnawal Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Auntie Violet, thank you for your words of welcome, and thank you to the United Ngunnawal Elders Council. Happy Australia Day. Australia Day is a day to reflect, respect and celebrate. The story of Australia is a great story. It's one that began thousands of generations ago and continues to this day. On this day, we reflect on what it means to be welcome to country, the honour, privilege and responsibility that comes with being invited to carry forward a legacy of 65,000 years of continuous culture and respect for country. We all have an important role to play in the story of Australia. We all have a contribution to make. Australians are resilient people, a young nation living in ancient country. Resilience, grit and determination. These are the traits that have long been part of our national identity. It takes something special to survive and thrive on land whose extreme beauty is matched only by its extreme conditions. With each summer brings fire, rain that leaves flood, and long dry months that stretch into the years of drought. Our character, our resilience are always being tested. The limit of our resilience, our ingenuity and our commitment to other Australians has really been tested as it has been in the past 2 years. As we have all done before and will no doubt do again, Australians have stood tall. From the small business owners who moved heaven and earth to stay afloat and keep young workers employed, to the communities that supported them, from the scientists who worked to make vaccines and treatments to protect us, to those who rolled up their sleeves to protect themselves and those they don't even know. From the young Australians whose dreams of travel, study and careers were put on hold, to the parents, employers, teachers and friends that supported them. Yours are the simple acts of community that make us the envy of the world, to which we owe a better, brighter future. While the past 2 years might have changed the way young Australians see the world, we live in a nation where people are supported to live, learn and grow and succeed. A nation that values your potential and will support you to realise it. Our nation is made of people from all over the world, so many of whom came to these shores seeking a better life, a better future for their children and their children after them. These people have written their own chapter into the story of Australia and have made a commitment to the shared values of fairness, equality, of opportunity, mutual respect, tolerance, compassion and the rule of law. These are the values to which we owe our place in the world, a proud, ancient, multicultural nation. It is our honour today to be joined by a group of people who will shortly become Australian citizens. To those accepting their citizenship today, welcome and congratulations. Today you become part of something very precious, a nation that is grateful for the commitment you have made to us, and we look forward to the contribution you will make. On Australia Day, we celebrate the 2022 Australians of the Year. Australian of the Year, Dylan Alcott. Senior Australian of the Year, Val Dempsey. Young Australian of the Year, Dr. Daniel Knorr. Australia's local hero, Shanna Warne. Each of them, congratulations. Each of them has pushed the limits of human endeavour to achieve greatness on the sporting field, in their career, in their communities, and in their own lives. Thank you. I'd like to thank the National Australia Day Council's partners, Chevron, Australia Post, the Australian Government, the Department of Health, the Department of Home Affairs, the Department of Education, Skills and Employment, the ABC, Australian Community Media, the Australian National University, International Day of People with a Disability, National Museum Australia and Minter Ellison. Today Australians will come together in every corner of our nation across the globe to reflect, respect and celebrate. Happy Australia Day.
Thank you so much for those words, Danny Roach, and for the work that you and the whole National Australia Day Council do. Before we commence with the citizenship ceremony, I'm delighted to introduce the Muguru Dancers for a world-class cultural performance, meaning lightning or storm in the Yugambeh language. Please welcome the Muguru Dancers.
Before we go on, I would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the area on which we gather upon here today, the Ngunnawal people. Thank you, Arnie, for your welcome earlier this morning. I'd also like to pay my respects and acknowledge our Indigenous brothers and sisters on this day, and our not Indigenous brothers and sisters. I'd also like to extend that respect to our new Australians coming in today. Welcome to you here today. Thank you. The song and dance that we just performed, Ananayamba Legunari, is a cleansing dance. We do that whenever we go on to another people's countries to cleanse ourselves and the people that participate with us. This next song and dance is the Barang, the returning boomerang. Barango, 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 oh! Hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana. Good night. La 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 la. Hop. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana, baranga, hayanyana. Good night. La 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 la. Hop. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Yahweh.
Thank you very much there to the Muguru Dancers for that powerful performance. Today, thousands of people will make the pledge of commitment and become Australian citizens. Heartwarming ceremonies are being held right across the country, hosted by local councils as well as community organisations. Right here in our nation's capital, 19 people will soon take the same pledge. To officiate over the ceremony, would you please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Scott Morrison.
Well, thank you, Your Excellencies, particularly Auntie Violet. Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome to country. And yes, that was great health advice as well. Thank you very, very much. Can I acknowledge my ministerial and parliamentary colleagues? Can I acknowledge the Leader of the Opposition, Anthony Albanese? But in particular today, can I acknowledge all Australians, Australians all, one and free. Yuma, g'day, happy Australia Day. On this, our National Day, we begin by honouring the traditional custodians on the land on which we are gathered here today, the Ngunnawal people, and those who have travelled here, met here, and felt at home and been welcomed on this country for thousands of years. We recognise Indigenous peoples right across our land, from the Torres Strait Islander people in the north to the Palawa in Tasmania, to the Wajak people across the Nullarbor in Perth, and the Larrakia people in the top end. Like the country itself, Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are diverse, they're unique, and they connect us through time. And here in our capital, the home of the Ngunnawal people, the home of a free, democratic people, the most successful multicultural and multi-faith nation on earth, we also honour the men and women past and present who secured and now protect our freedoms by serving in the Australian Defence Forces. And we acknowledge them, those who have pledged themselves to duty, service and sacrifice. And we say to them, thank you for your service. And there are many others who are wearing uniforms, serving on the front lines of the pandemic, our health workers, those who are working in emergency services and manning COVID clinics, those indeed from the St John's Ambulance and many other places, doing what they do every day. We celebrate them today and their great service, and we say to them, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. And we are reminded that we could not be free and we could not be a democratic people without all of those who serve. So I pay tribute to all those also who make this Australia Day event such a wonderful one for Australians. To Danielle Roach, the Chair of the National Australia Day Council, and all of your board members, thank you. And especially our Australians of the Year who are joined here. Of course, Dylan can't be with us, but we congratulate him and we wish him all the best at the Australian Open as he competes in that final. And another message, go Ash. Tani Val Dempsey, you're an inspiration, and it's wonderful to see you here resplendent in your St John's uniform here today, as you wear so proudly here in the ACT for 40 years. To Daniel Knorr, Dr. Daniel Knorr, great friend of our family, the Young Australian of the Year. Australia's proud of you, and the Shire's proud of you too, mate. Shanna Wan, the local hero of the year. You're just a beautiful woman. You are just full of radiance and beauty, and you're sharing that love with your people, and you're turning their lives around. Thank you for making such a huge difference in people's lives. Today there are thousands of gatherings across our country, each reflecting in a different way and celebrating our love of Australia. And one of the great expressions of love for our country is to become a citizen. Here and in over 400 places across Australia today, more than 16,000 people from over 150 nations will become Australians, including right here, as women, men and children from 9 nations come together today to become Australians. Today, each of you will be endowed with the same rights, opportunities, privileges and responsibilities as every other Australian, no matter how long they've been here. You will be given the inheritance of our history and the promise of our shared future. But you don't come to our national story empty-handed either. As like so many before you, you add your threads to Australia's rich tapestry. You now write your own chapters in Australia's story. In recent times, our national story has once again been one of terrible and great hardship. Times of loss, drought, floods, cyclones, plagues, fires, the global pandemic and the recession and hardship it has caused. These have been some of the toughest years, if not the toughest we have known since the times of war and the Great Depression. And at such times we are sustained by many things: our family, our friends, our community, our faith, and we are thankful. But today, I am just filled with thanks and gratitude for the nation we are blessed to live in as a people. Despite all we have endured and the challenges that are still ahead, I am just thankful to be an Australian and to live in Australia with my family, this land we call home. During the pandemic last year, a Year 6 class in the Sutherland Shire was asked to read A Sunburnt Country by Dorothea McKellar, and they were asked to pen their own poem to Australia. I could not express my love for this country better than the young girl who wrote this verse, and I'd like to conclude by sharing her thoughts with you. It's called My Land Australia. Land of everything, sapphire sea and dark sparkling nights. Everything is one, everything is sung. Can feel a million rejoices, can hear a million voices. My land called Australia, my heart soiled in loving grace. My cherished home filled with love and ancient dreaming. The high mountain ranges in between my gazes. With the outback on the horizon, we can see new beginnings. Flowers breezing on the lion's song, whooshing with daintiness on waratahs and wattle. Try to escape the scary blue bottles. Waves can be crashing with terror and throttles. Lightning is cracking. And as we watch cattle and rams go rotten with drought and flood, we can always come together. We have a bronzing bond. Through fire, famine, flood and pandemics, it's going, going, going. We will never tire out. We'll keep our flags up and let it fly, fly, fly. Australia, my land, my country of hardship, my country of grace, my country of stars. Don't care how much you tried to persuade me, give me books, money and lovely birch trees. Nothing can take my love from this land. Nothing can take the smile off my face. When we get a sunburn and lie for a bit, my friends and family can ride together down to the river, the beach or bay. We can sit and reminisce about the time when the sun spray ears. Yes, of course you can do that anywhere. But can you see the drop bears there? The daughter was written by my poem. That poem was written by my daughter, Lily Morrison. It's the same for all of us, Lil, including those of us who have joined us here this day to become new Australians. Nothing can take away our love of Australia. So with gratitude for what has come before and optimism for what is ahead, happy Australia Day. We now turn to the formal part of the citizenship ceremony, which is conducted in accordance with the Australian Citizenship Act 2007. As part of the legal requirements for the citizenship ceremony, I will read the preamble from Schedule 1 of the Australian Citizen Regulation 2016. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is confirmed enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations by pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. I would now like to call on candidates who have indicated they wish to make pledge number 1, which is the pledge containing the words "under God," to stand. If you wish to make the pledge on a holy book, please hold it in your hands now. You may wish to stand if you're able. And please repeat after me, line by line, this pledge. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations. Welcome. I would now like to call on candidates who've indicated they wish to make pledge number 2 to stand and repeat after me, line by line, this pledge. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations and welcome. And as we welcome our new citizens, we simply say thank you to all Australians for all your sacrifices, for all that you're doing for our country, and for believing in the bright future we share together. Happy Australia Day.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I'm going to ask you to stay on stage so that you can present the new Australians with their citizenship certificates. It's also my great joy to welcome back Ngunnawal Elder Aunty Violet Sheridan to personally welcome our newest Australians. Assisting both today from the Department of Home Affairs are Ryan Harris from the Graduate Development Program, who will be helping with the certificates, and Indigenous Cadet Georgia Summers, who will hand out gifts to commemorate the occasion. New citizens, as I call your name, please come forward and receive your certificate and pause for a photograph with the Prime Minister. Also, don't forget to get your special leaf that's been through the smoking ceremony this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, first up, please welcome the Latte family of Elsie, Emily and Ephraim.
We all grew up in Ghana. We came to Australia in 2017 to be with our dad, who had been here for a number of years.
Emily and Elsie are registered nurses who have worked very hard throughout the pandemic, and they've helped save lives as well.
Ephraim is studying nursing.
It's something I've wanted to do since my childhood.
We love Australia. Australia has been good to us, and we love Australia. So thank you, Australia. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you mind if we take a picture?
Yes, Jill. But that's real quick because they're on a broadcast.
Prime Minister, I think there's always time for a selfie. I don't know about you, I think there's an election coming up or something. So I shouldn't have. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the Latte family. Next up, please welcome Kevin Toledo.
I'm from Manila in the Philippines, and I came to Australia with my family in 2016. The 26th of January is extra special for me because, as well as my Citizenship on Australia Day, I will also be celebrating my birthday. I always believed that I was meant to live in Australia. I would tell myself, you are meant to stay here. It can't be a coincidence that Australia Day is the day that you are born. I've always felt at home here, and I can't wait to start the rest of my life as an Australian citizen.
Congratulations, Kevin. Next up, I'd love to welcome the Kahonan Kana family of Minna, Tukar, Titus, Isla and Noel.
We are originally from Finland.
As long as I can remember, I always wanted to travel to Australia. I first came here in August 1993. In 2014, I brought my whole family over to Australia.
We had 3 kids in tow, and the youngest one was only 4 months old. And looking back now, I think we must have been crazy.
Becoming a citizen means that I can finally officially call myself Australian, which I've felt in my heart for a long time already.
Congratulations to the Kahonen Kanan family. Next up, please welcome the Chitsungu family of Tatunda, Iliska and Tanatswa.
I'm originally from Zimbabwe.
I was born in the Philippines and I grew up in Taiwan.
Ready, set. Coming to Australia, me and Eliska were just 24 hours apart. I met Eliska at my sister's place. A year later, we were already married, and we had our firstborn, Tanatswa, here.
We just had a second child in October.
Me and Eliska, we both work in the healthcare sector. We look forward to continue improving the health outcomes of Australians in the future.
Congratulations to the Chitsungu family. We'll have a no phones policy next year. Congratulations again to the Chitsungu family. Next up, please welcome Ekta, Kaka and Gourmet Singh.
I'm originally from India, from Delhi. My partner, he is also from Delhi, and we live like literally 40 kilometers apart, but we met here in Australia. I have a cafe now, and we won an award in 2019 for the Best Outstanding Cafe in Canberra. So I think it's a start of a new journey, becoming an Australian citizen, and we can definitely give back to the community that has given us so much.
Oh.
Thanks, everyone. You have a lovely day.
Congratulations, Ekta and Gourmet. Next up, please welcome Jorge Vallandia and Ana Bemidez.
My partner and I were born and raised in Colombia, but we met here in Australia 5 years ago. I enjoy quite a lot being outdoors and going bird watching, searching for bugs, or just enjoying natural spaces. Part of our plans going forward are to join local groups and volunteer in wildlife organizations. For us, becoming Australian citizens means the end of a journey and the beginning of a new one.
Congratulations, Jorge and Ana. Next up, please welcome Natsuko Yanaka Yazawa.
I was born in Otsu City in Japan. So I'm currently an emerging artist, and my ambition is to become a director of live performance. I think that the 26th of January should recognise the First Nations people's survival of their language, food, music and culture. As a new Australian citizen, I hope to continue creating live performance and collaborating with artists from different backgrounds, because we're all part of the story.
Congratulations, Natsuko. Next up, please welcome Amanda Bougain.
I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is in the United States. My first trip here was in 2014, and I was going to 2 scientific conferences. Australia had never really come up on the radar until that trip, and I thought, oh yes, I want to live here one day. I was nominated for a Young Biophysicist Award. I got it for my work actually on how the human body senses touch and limb awareness. In the future, I hope that my work can put Australia on the map, make Australia a better place.
Congratulations, Amanda. Next up, please welcome our final conferee this morning, Pratik Rawal.
I was born and raised in Doha, Qatar, and I'm of Indian heritage. I'm currently studying my PhD. I'm doing it in neuroscience. I want to be a neuropsychologist in the future to help people with brain disorders and brain injuries. 26 Jan, interestingly, is also the Republic Day of India, which means I get to celebrate me being a citizen on that day, but at the same time I get to honor my roots with my family.
Congratulations, Pratik, and thank you and congratulations to all of our new conferees today. Prime Minister, thank you very much, and thank you also to Arnie Violet Sheridan there for welcoming, and also please join me in thanking Ryan Harris and Georgia Summers from the Department of Home Affairs. One of the wonderful aspects of citizenship ceremonies is the opportunity for Australian citizens to affirm their commitment to the country. The affirmation is very similar to the pledge you've just seen made by new citizens. Participation is voluntary and affirmation ceremonies have no legal effect, but it is just one way we can share the special event with our newest citizens. To lead us in the Australian affirmation, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage the Governor-General.
Well, good morning and happy Australia Day. Could I join in the acknowledgement of country this morning? As I've said many occasions at Yarralumla, this is a beautiful part of the country here in the ACT around Canberra, and we do thank the Ngunnawal people for looking after it for us for generation after generation and pay respects to their elders past and present. Could I acknowledge the Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, the Leader of the Opposition, Members of Parliament, His Excellency Ali Krishan, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps and Ambassador of the Republic of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, Vice Admiral David Johnson, Vice Chief of the Defence Force and senior members of the Defence Force, Mr Michael Bazzullo, the Secretary of the Department of Home Affairs, Ms Danielle Roach, and the board members of the National Australia Day Council. To our Australians of the Year, congratulations all. Great joy last night to share that time with you. Great to see you here today. To our newest citizens, a warmest welcome. Real delight to be part of this ceremony today and share the occasion with you. Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls. Delighted, as I say, to be here for the National Flag Raising and Citizenship Ceremony. Happy Australia Day. It's an important day. We began this morning with a smoking with the Ngunnawal elders just over the rear of us here. Very important way to acknowledge that glue that bind us all together here in Australia. Been, as people have said, a difficult year, 2 years, but we, I think, are on the verge of new direction, turning the wave, turning the corner, riding that wave if you're an Aussie coming from the beach. Things change. Linda and I have the great privilege during the year of speaking to Australians from different backgrounds, dealing with different challenges and with different dreams for the future. We talk to them in person or in video call if we must. We've seen people in good times and in challenging times. Regardless of the circumstances, there are a number of fundamental characteristics, consistent characteristics that come through. As Danielle has said, grit and determination, There's a kindness and compassion out there, very evident in our Australians of the Year, and a quiet confidence that if we look after each other, we'll be okay. And if you reflect on your community, I'm sure that you'll identify people with the same qualities working quietly there. And chances are they are most evident in the people that you quietly respect. And it's the universal nature of these characteristics that makes me so optimistic for Australia's future. Yes, I know there are challenges. I see them every day. And I know there are tough days. We've wept with people, we've comforted people. But we are at heart a good people. We're not afraid of hard work, we're creative, we're innovative, and we can take on anything. We're the product of our past and the sum of each of our individual stories. And you, our newest citizens, add to that rich mix and add to our story with your own. And that, I believe, is worth celebrating here on Australia Day. As mentioned, I'm going to lead those Australian citizens who wish to participate in the Citizenship Pledge. This affirmation was introduced in 1999. The words are, of course, based on the pledge our new citizens just made, and as you're told, it's voluntary, carries no legal status. But what a good way to start the day. I remember when we were kids, we used to stand and say the oath to the Queen every morning at school. Maybe we should start saying the oath every morning. Just remind us not only of who we are, but what our responsibilities are to each other and to our country. So please, if you wish to join in, please stand and repeat after me, line by line. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I uphold and obey. Thank you. Enjoy your Australia Day. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Governor-General. I'd now like to take the opportunity to once again congratulate all of our newest citizens as well as acknowledge some exemplary ones. The finalists and past recipients of the Australian of the Year Awards who are here with us today, congratulations one and all. And of course, our Australians of the Year who are joining us, the Young Australian of the Year, Dr. Daniel North, the Australia's Local Hero, Shanna Wan, the Senior Australian of the Year, Valme Dempsey, and of course our Australian of the Year, as you heard from the Prime Minister, who's already back in Melbourne preparing for the Grand Slam. It's now my great pleasure to announce the return of the Australian Federation Guard and the RMC Band for the raising of Australia's Centenary Flag. Please welcome the flag party and Sergeant Jennifer Cook from the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon, to the stage.
To that event 100 years later.
It is the Commonwealth's flag of state, which means it is only flown on ceremonial occasions, and each time it appears at a state occasion, it is recorded in the ledger held by the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Now, Sergeant Cook, who will be singing the national anthem, is in just a moment, has 9 years of service in the RMC Band, over 2 postings, and considers performing for troops over Christmas in East Timor as part of Interfet in 1999 as her major career highlight. Commissioner, you were also deployed there at that time?
I was the operations officer of the military hospital deployed to East Timor, and I was very fortunate to actually be at that concert and enjoy the wonderful entertainment by fabulous Australians that night.
And of course we need to listen out for the recently amended second line of the national anthem. The change happened on the 1st of January 2021. It was a change from "For we are young and free" to "For we are one and free." Crowds have been building, haven't they, Georgina, through the morning with lots of onlookers, people on bikes, dogs, picnickers. There's a great sense of community here by Lake Burley-Griffin.
There is. Our local Canberrans are all out here celebrating the day, enjoying the entertainment of the band and, you know, as our Governor-General said, welcoming the newest members to our community, caring for each other, caring for the land in which we live in.
And so many terrific stories from our conferees originally travelling from Ghana, the Philippines, Finland, Zimbabwe, India, Colombia, Japan, the US and Qatar. Lots of selfies and lots of beautiful moments with children.
Absolutely. And what is so wonderful is that not only do they feel so privileged to be part of our country, when you look at their backgrounds and their education and what they have to offer us, we are very lucky to have them indeed.
And here we see the Centenary Flag before us. This design is the same as that of the Australian national flag, except for a white band or a headband running along the short side and a red stripe within that band, which represents the thread of kinship that stands at the heart of federation. Georgina, what's your impression of the drill that we're currently witnessing here, the tri-service drill?
Look, it's excellent, and as we can see, the services are lined up in order of precedence. The Royal Australian Navy, the First Service, then of course Army, followed by Air Force. And considering a number of the members of the Guard have only been rehearsing for the last month, I think they look pretty impressive.
They're carrying a number of things, including weapons, Georgina.
Yes, they are carrying the Steyr rifle on ceremony, but of course there is no ammunition with that rifle, and it's something that they rehearse with on a regular basis. They are also in their full ceremonial uniforms with all of their regalia, and of course, as we can see, the traditional Army slouch hat front and centre.
Please stand if you're able for the Australian National Anthem to be led by Sergeant Jennifer Cook.
Australia's Federation Guard, National Salute! Present! Arms!
Australians all let our nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath our radiant southern cross we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this Commonwealth of ours renowned all the lands. For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you to Sergeant Jennifer Cook and the RMC Band for that beautiful rendition of our national anthem, and the Federation Guard for raising the Centenary Flag. You can probably hear it, but I'll direct your attention to the sky in MH-60R Seahawk, piloted by Lieutenants Brad Donaldson and Sean Gill, making a flypast from the Royal Australian Navy.
The Seahawk helicopter comes from 816 Squadron based at Naval Air Station in Nowra. Most of the missions for this type of helicopter involve search and rescue, personnel transport and medical evacuation.
The Seahawk is flying at roughly 70 kilometres an hour, so it's basically out for a gentle stroll this morning, Commissioner. Now the helicopter will be looping back, as we can see, for another pass. A truly amazing sight.
It is, and can you guess the size of the flag being flown by that Seahawk? Well, it's actually a whopping 35 by 75 feet. That's just over 10 by 22 metres. And I'm wondering how long it takes to iron that flag.
So, Georgina, how is this tri-service display being coordinated? Next up, another aerial treat, a flyover by the C-17A Globemaster, piloted by Flight Lieutenant Scott Rushworth. And Scott has a shout out to his wife Rosie and parents Donna and Kevin for their continued support while he's deployed in C-17 flying operations around the world.
Based at the Royal Australian Air Force Base at Amberley, all 8 C-17As are operated by 36 Squadron, and they provide a logistic backbone for the Australian Defence Force operations overseas. This has included operations in the Middle East and Afghanistan, as well as East Timor.
And the C-17A Globemaster provides the Air Force with an unprecedented capacity for strategic airlift. It allows Australia to rapidly deploy troops, supplies, combat vehicles and heavy equipment anywhere in the world.
I now invite you to direct your attention to Regatta Point for the 21-gun salute, a traditional gesture of peace, friendship and trust.
The custom of the salute is a surprisingly old one, stemming from naval tradition. In the 16th century, in the days of muzzle-loading cannons, it took a while to reload a ship's armament once it had been fired. So when a ship was approaching a foreign port or another friendly ship, all the cannons on board would be fired to show that they were partly empty and posed no threat. It was also a sign of trust that people on land or in the other vessel not to open fire on them. And in time, this practice was adopted as a way to honour dignitaries on land as well.
Yes, a specific number of guns are fired to honour VIPs in accordance with their status. Royalty and heads of state receive a 21-gun salute. Field marshals, state officials and equivalent receive a 19-gun salute. Generals and equivalent ranks get 17, and so on, right down to 11 for a brigadier.
You can feel the earth shaking even here at this distance. Would they be using real rounds, Commissioner?
No, they won't be. They'll be using ammunition specifically designed for ceremonial events such as today.
What type of cannons are they using?
So they're a 105mm howitzer M2A2 used during the Vietnam War by the Australian Army.
It has been an extraordinary experience, hasn't it? Seeing the MH-60 Seahawk helicopter, the C-17 Globemaster, and now the 21-gun salute. How has this all been coordinated, Georgina?
So this would be coordinated out of Headquarters Joint Operations Command, out at Bungendore, down here in the beautiful capital, and also coordinated through the ceremonial team that works out of Australian Defence Force headquarters here in Russell offices.
And of course, you got your citizenship some 50 or so years ago. How are you feeling today? And also looking back on that event for you personally?
I just love calling Australia home. I hate to say that, but 50 years today is my anniversary indeed.
Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and join me in giving a round of applause for that outstanding military display. And as we come to a close, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for the 2022 National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony, and in particular pay respect to those new Australians. Clearly this day means different things to different people. To me, the fact that we can each mark it however we want to, peacefully, says so much about contemporary Australia. Have a happy Australia Day.
And that wraps up the 2022 National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony. I'm sure that our 19 new citizens will cherish today's memories as they begin a new journey with the precious gift of smoked gum leaves from our Ngunnawal custodians to cleanse and protect their spirit while on Ngunnawal land.
Fabulous memories indeed, and a big thank you to our Defence Force and Emergency Service personnel, and of course a big shout out to our volunteers.
To everyone watching around Australia and the rest of the world, we thank you for joining us. Stay with us as our coverage of our National Day continues. Dan Borsha will be back with you at 5:30 this evening for the January 26 program showcasing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander stories of culture, language, survival and connection to country. And the celebrations will continue on the ABC tonight with Australia Day Live at 7:30. Thank you to Dan Borsha and thank you to Georgina Whelan. Stay with us as